lot of people think success is getting a good degree, getting a good job, collecting a lot of cash, buying a house. And to some people, success is accumulating a lot more of the same. Honestly speaking, I grew up thinking the same thing. But over the years, I discovered something different. What I discovered is that a lot of the unlearning and relearning actually needs to happen in the how part. So let me explain that to you by telling two stories of my life that will help you understand where I'm coming from. So the first story is the story of the rain dance. The year is 1993 and 94. I was about to graduate from the London School of Economics in the UK. Unfortunately, not with a very high degree. And to make matters worse, also at a time when the UK was going through a terrible recession. Forget about the overseas students like myself who needed work permit. Even the locals were struggling to get a job. But I was there with one purpose. The purpose was to get articleship, get a job with an audit firm, and then eventually become a chartered accountant. So like anybody else, I started applying for jobs. As I was talking to a lot of my friends, some said, we'll apply for 3 jobs. If it was meant to be, it will happen. Some said 8, some said 10, 12. Everybody had a different number. For me, there was no number. I kept on applying. Now, back in the days, we didn't have online applications. We did not have copy-paste. I had to manually fill out applications, sometimes 6 pages, sometimes 8 pages, different questions, but I kept applying. Not 10, 20, 30, hundreds of applications, and started receiving rejection after rejection. Would show up at an interview and they would tell me, you need a work permit, sorry, can't offer a job. But I kept applying till one fine day, I did receive an offer letter and eventually got a job and became a chartered accountant. So what is the story? The story is of the rain dance. So back in the days, I read a book, and in the book there was a story of rain dance. So in the depth of the jungles of Amazon, there used to be a tribe. And the world found out that they figured out the rain dance, which means that every time they danced, it rained. So a lot of scientists got together, got on a plane, got to the depth of the Amazon, drove through and eventually got to this tribe, and they asked the chief, what's your secret? The world says that every time you dance, it rains. The chief looked in their eyes and said, there's no secret. We just keep dancing till it rains. So a lot of people, so what is the unlearning? The unlearning is a lot of people give up before it starts raining. And what is the learning? When the world thinks that it will not rain, you got to keep dancing, because rain only happens to those who keep dancing. The second story. The second story is the story of a go-getter. So now, fast forward, the year is 1996, precisely November 26th, 1996. Now I'm a young auditee working for a very large audit firm. And one evening, as I was about to go home, leave work, I got a call from one of my partners. His name is Barry Hughes. So Barry said, Ahmar, would you do me a favor? We need to deliver the audited financial statements to one of our most important clients, because at 9 o'clock there is an audit meeting. So would you be able to do that? I said, sure. So I took the financial statements in the pilot case. And as I'm walking to my car, I just remembered, my wife actually is expected to deliver any day in the next 2 weeks. So I said, nah, it's not going to happen tonight. As luck would have it, at 2 a.m. in the morning, she goes into labor. So we all rushed. My mother is there, my mother-in-law is there, and we are there in the hospital supporting my wife through the labor process. 8 o'clock in the morning, I remembered I had taken a responsibility to deliver the financial statements. So I went up to my wife and to my mother and my mother-in-law, and I said, I'm going to do something. And my wife looked at me as if I am crazy. So I jumped in my car. I drove like a maniac, got to the client in my jeans, showed up with the finance statements at 8:45, 15 minutes ahead of time, and then drove back, and as I got back, received my son, Omar, who is now happily married, 29 years old, our first child. And then a couple of years later, I read a book. The book's name is The Go-Getter. It's one of the New York bestseller books, sold tens and millions of copies. As I was reading that book, I thought that book was written on me, about the concept of the go-getter, right? And I would encourage you to read that book. How does that all come together? When you talk about the go-getter concept, it's about responsibility. It's about reliability. Can the world count on you? Can you even count on yourself? So the unlearning is that you don't become reliable and responsible when it's convenient. The learning is you got to be reliable and responsible all the time. So now I'd like to reiterate as I close my talk that I'd not tell you a single story of my recent past or my present. I told you a story of time when many of you were not even born. But how did that shape my life? So I'll give you two examples. The first one, again, is the story of the go-getter. So I've not slept not more than 4 or 5 hours in the last 48 hours. I got back home last night, flew in actually at 3 a.m. in the morning. I was in Islamabad because we opened 2 of our fitness clubs. Am I required to be in Islamabad today? Oh, hell I am. You better believe it. But I'd given my word that I'll be here to deliver this talk and share my story with you guys. The second important thing is about the rain dance. We opened our first chain of fitness clubs 3 years ago. God has blessed us tremendously. A lot of people tell us that we built Pakistan's largest fitness brand. We don't think so, because we're still dancing. Because as we say, the chappad par rain hasn't happened yet. So we say we're dancing, and we're dancing like crazy. Thank you for being a great audience. I really enjoyed speaking with you.